What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. Last time, we ended off part 2 with the quick defeat and introduction of the Pilaf gang. While the arc didn't go too drastically different, a few things did occur that will have a drastic impact later on. The main takeaway from the last part was how Kakarot and Raditz were sent off by Gohan to train with Roshi, so they head off there. After meeting Krillin and Launch, we can now begin with their training. Let's get into it. For training, there's nothing really to cover here. Even with Raditz being there, and Kakarot being different than Goku, they still get the same training along with Krillin, and nothing here is really worth noting in terms of change. The only major thing here is that they're actually able to explain to Krillin and Roshi about their origins, being Saiyans and all. They attribute that as the reason for them being so strong and such quick learners, although they don't really know why that is. This is a good motivator for Krillin though, as he wants to surpass them despite him not having the same latent ability. Can a human surpass an alien like this? That'll be pretty cool for him to find out. Overall, the training itself goes pretty much the same in terms of routine, but Krillin ends up a little stronger due to his motivation, as do Kakarot and Raditz since there's 3 students instead of 2, plus everyone here is motivated to surpass one another. It is very competitive, but still very friendly. Krillin becomes great friends with the both of them. With that now, we could jump into the 21st World Tournament. The preliminaries are pretty much a breeze for the group. Of course, Kakarot, Krillin, Yamcha, and Raditz all get in, as well as Roshi disguised as Jackie Chun. Also, the Saiyan twins and Krillin both receive their RNGs from Roshi, so they get a new outfit as well. Ronfon's not really that big of a deal, so Raditz replaces her, and Namu still gets in. During her fight with Namu, it's apparent that Namu is much more skilled than her, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to assume that Namu would make it in over her in terms of skill. With our 8 contestants set, we can now discuss the fights. Krillin wins against Bacterian. Again, nothing really changes here, and that's pretty much normal. Yamcha's fight with Jackie Chun goes the same as well. Our first real change is when we get to Namu versus Raditz. Namu is clearly a strong guy, as is Raditz, and from the main story, Namu's fight with Goku showed that he was very impressive in terms of power and skill, so he's definitely a formidable foe. Raditz is also very strong and skilled, so this clearly would make for an interesting match. Namu does put up a very good fight, but in terms of power and skill, he's not fully able to surpass Raditz. So sadly, he loses this one, but he's a good sport about it. Don't worry though, Roshi still helps Namu out and gives him the Hoi Poi capsule so he can get some water for his village. And as a favor in return, Namu dresses up as Roshi like normal to stop Yamcha from assuming that Jackie Chun is actually Roshi in disguise. Raditz takes the win here, although it's a very close one. Giran is up next against Kakarot. No, not Jiren, Giran, this guy. And while Giran's gum ability might cause some trouble for Kakarot, Kakarot is still able to escape it and work around it due to having his tail. Neither he nor Raditz lost their tails, so it's not some big shock that he still has it here, and he's able to use it in order to escape the gum. Kakarot takes the win, and now we move to the semi-finals. Krillin's fight with Jackie Chun goes pretty normally. The interesting matchup in the semi-finals is the one that follows. Oh yeah, it's Kakarot versus Raditz. The two of them won in the quarterfinals, so now this means the two of them are up against each other in a battle of brothers. The winner here is very much a toss-up. You have to remember, this isn't Goku versus Raditz from the main series. These two characters are Kakarot and Raditz, who are very different from their canon counterparts, at least at this point in time. Power-wise, they're a bit above Kid Goku, with the two of them being pretty even to each other. They're both equally strategic and smart, have had the same training, and are both the same age, everything. So all the technical stuff like skill and power, that's pretty much even. The only real difference here besides physical appearance is personality, otherwise, they're one and the same. I mean, they are twins after all, and they've been through pretty much everything together. And as for personality, they're also different from their canon counterparts in some ways, but also similar in some others. Kakarot is a much more optimistic fighter, and is very strategic and quick to think during fights, although not as naive as Kid Goku was, and is a lot more intelligent. Raditz is more cunning than his brother, much like normal, and he's also a little more strategy focused than his brother is. Although it is a heavily competitive match, and a very close one, it's friendly, and it's an all-out battle between the two brothers. The fight is exciting to watch, and even briefly goes mid-air, but eventually, a winner is revealed. Through his strategic prowess and his cunning personality, Raditz is able to defeat Kakarot in this fight, although with a ring out and not a knockout. The two of them would love to have an all-out battle, but they've decided way before that this tournament isn't the place to do so. There's too many rules, and the ring outs kinda ruin the whole aspect of the fight. The two of them decided beforehand if they end up facing each other, they're both accepted if they were to end in a ring out. Raditz is the victor here, and he now progresses to the final round against Jackie Chun. While Roshi was originally kinda irritated when fighting Goku, it's also a lot different here too. Raditz is a lot more disciplined and stoic than someone like Goku. Even Kakarot is different from Kid Goku as well. Raditz here is a lot more respectful, and Roshi is the same in response. He's proud to not only see the strength of Raditz develop, but his character as well. Raditz is able to put up a good fight against his master, and both he and Roshi enjoy the fight. Through the use of his extensive abilities, Roshi is still able to overpower Raditz. He does want to win against his student and show him the lesson that there is someone stronger than his students always. You know, just so they don't get too cocky in their training. And since Raditz isn't as rowdy as Kid Goku during the fight, he's not able to trip up Roshi like Goku did. Sure, he's a lot more cunning, but he doesn't pretend to be a rabid monkey or dog like Goku did. And Roshi is also very smart, and his cunningness won't really get through Roshi. That means that Jackie Chun is able to win before the full moon even comes out for Raditz to see. The match ends peacefully and respectfully, with Raditz never transforming. Kakarot doesn't either. However, it is a lot closer this time. The only reason Raditz loses here is because Roshi is able to outsmart him a bit, despite Raditz actually having more power, and Roshi has more techniques that are able to stop Raditz in his tracks. In the crowd though, one of the people watching this fight was of course Grandpa Gohan. Raditz bows to Roshi and Roshi does the same in response. And then Raditz looks in the crowd and notices Grandpa Gohan there. Gohan would have joined the tournament himself, but he didn't want to make it unfair because he's still pretty strong in his own right. After seeing Kakarot and Raditz again and congratulating them, he goes up to Jackie Chun. He does keep it a secret, but he briefly talks to this contestant, knowing that it is Roshi after all. He's curious as to why Roshi disguised himself though, but he understands once it's explained to him. Either way, Gohan is proud of Kakarot and Raditz. They made a lot of progress, and he raised them well, and they're quite strong now, and sending them to train with Roshi was a great idea. Following the tournament, we see another major change. Without being able to use the Nimbus, and since Gohan is alive, Kakarot and Raditz don't go off to look for the Dragon Balls again. Even as a memoir, they don't need the 4-star ball, since Gohan is still there with them, and he's with the group anyways. It's not like they have any wishes to make either. So while Krillin goes off with Roshi still, the two kids return home with Gohan, and this means that the Red Ribbon Army arc doesn't begin here. Actually, while I have the Nimbus on my mind, I forgot to mention in the last part, someone else gets the Cloud and gets a good use out of it, and that person is actually Chi-Chi. Yeah, she has access to the Cloud now, which is pretty cool since she's really the only one in the main cast in this scenario that could ride it, since Kakarot can't do it. Having the Nimbus means she actually is present during these parts of the story now, as she has transportation and frequently visits Kakarot, and even trains with them from time to time since that's really all that Gohan, Kakarot, and Raditz do. So while she was completely out of Goku's life in the original story, now she's actually involved in Kakarot's life a bit. I mean, they are kinda like engaged after all. It's weird, but Gohan and Kakarot accept it. I mean, that's just how Chi-Chi is. As for now, they continue life normally, with no Red Ribbon arc happening right now. Eventually, they do continue training with Roshi as well, and Chi-Chi ends up joining and she gets stronger on her own right, although she's way behind the rest. She's still strong though, and is mainly there because Kakarot is, and knowing that her dad trained with Roshi. However, Roshi has noticed that the 4 students of his are reaching a plateau by training with him. Maybe if they're this strong, he wonders, how could he help them progress further? He thinks back to his own training and remembers, what if he sent them off to train with Korin? It is the best thing for them to do next. He did it centuries ago on his own, but they may be able to do it themselves. He tells his students, and the 4 kids end up traveling to Korin's tower, and they meet Appa and Bor at the bottom. Luckily, both are okay. There's no Red Ribbon Army yet, and there's no Tao Pai Pai, so they're fine. The 4 kids begin their climb, and after about a day of climbing, they're all able to make it up to the top. They don't know exactly what they're looking for, until they see some cat man standing there. They introduce themselves and find out that this guy is actually Korin, the guy that they came to look for. They are about to explain why they're here, but they don't even need to. Korin can sense their intentions and why they were sent here. He could read their hearts after all. After giving each of them a Senzu Bean and having them healed, now they all begin to fight Korin and try to take the pot of water from him. They each start by fighting him one-on-one, and that does nothing, and then they all go at him at once, all 4 of them. He's still able to actually hold them off, and he's interested to see their abilities. But I mean, it is a 4v1 after all. Since it's all 4 of them going at once, it takes just over a day instead of 3 to get the pot of water, and he's impressed with their abilities. They drink the water and don't really feel anything different. They don't know that the water is basically a red herring, and the real training came from climbing the tower and fighting Korin. Just to see their abilities, he has them climb the tower again just to show them how much they've improved, and this gets them to believe that the water is the real deal. They're pleased with their training, and want to train with Korin some more, which he ends up accepting. He can sense the huge potential in these 4 kids, and he's interested to see in what kind of things they'll be able to do in the future. So they begin their training, and all seems to be going well, but Since the Red Ribbon Army arc didn't start like normal, the Red Ribbon Army's still out there going for the Dragon Balls. And with no one interfering, they're able to actually collect a few of the Dragon Balls. And now, that leads a few of the soldiers to Korin's tower, where Upa and Bora have another ball. They're able to defend against the soldiers. And then eventually, Kakarot, Raditz, Krillin, and Chi-Chi all descend from the tower and see what's going on. Instead of it starting like normal, this is when they're going to find out about the Red Ribbon Army, and this is how that arc is going to start. The Red Ribbon Army's already made progress in getting the Dragon Balls, and now they're on track to get some more. With the 4 kids introducing themselves to Upa and Bora, they find out about what's happening, and now they actually decide that they want to help. After their training with Korin, they should be more than enough to help defeat the army. Finding out the intentions of the Red Ribbon Army and how they're after the Dragon Balls, they realize that they're up to no good, and they must be stopped. The 4 of them now begin the journey towards the Red Ribbon Army's HQ, prepared to use this training for good and actually help stop this threat. At the Red Ribbon Army HQ, they have surveillance, and they're able to see that there's some group of kids heading towards them, or at least it looks like they're heading in that direction. These must be some stupid lost kids. They obviously don't know what they're getting into, so maybe they just gotta try and deter them somehow. In order to stop them from coming to the base, they send out a few soldiers just to warn the kids not to head any further. These soldiers threaten the kids, but they don't even really care. Eventually, the soldiers get hostile and start attacking, but they obviously can't do anything against the kids. And they take down the soldiers pretty easily. The Red Ribbon Army realizes that these kids are a threat, and now they send out more forces to attack them. But these forces don't do anything either. They even send out General Blue, who's able to briefly do something with his ability to stun people, but having 4 of the kids there, he's not even a match either. Every minute, the kids are getting closer and closer to the HQ, and they need to stop these kids somehow. Maybe it's time to call on mercenary Tao Pai Pai. Tao has a bit of a high fee for this. The higher-ups of the army don't really care too much. They really just want these kids dealt with. They could tell they're going to be a big issue if they come any closer. With the Red Ribbon Army having now found out about the kids, and knowing that they're a threat, they send out mercenary Tao to go deal with them. Tao heads out, and after not much time traveling, he's over to where the kids are. He greets them and introduces himself, telling them that this is where their journey and their life ends. Tao and the kids all prepare for a fight, and this is where we'll leave off for now. How will the encounter between Tao and the kids go? What will happen due to their training with Korin? And how will the events of the Red Ribbon arc play out differently? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below, and tell me what you guys thought of this part and what you think should happen next. If you enjoyed the video, why not drop a like? And if you haven't already, subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon for notifications about future parts of this What If, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.